How are we going, folks? Part 3 to the update on the veggie garden. Late in the afternoon, I've been out all day again. I left my daughter to water 2 of my garden beds. I haven't gone to see them yet. This is becoming a sort of a regular reoccurrence where I'm missing out on looking after my garden, relying on others, and then coming back to be left disappointed because they obviously don't know how much water to apply, when to apply. And that's a real good question. How much water do you give your garden every day or week? How much water does a tree need? Answer in the comments below. You know, send your view. There's a million one ways you can answer that. Bottom line is, what are you trying to achieve? Is it hydrating the plant only? Hydrating the soil? How far deep do you need to go, and how much water do you apply, and what type of soil? I'm giving you all the bloody answers. Work it out yourself. And stop asking, because it's how long is a piece of string is the question. No one has the answer. So a tree, a quick example. I've got a tree in a sandy bed. It drains really well. I give it 30 litres of water. It's not enough per week. Nowhere near enough. I've got another tree that's sitting in a bit of a clay soil, and I give it 30 litres, and it's drowning. It only needs 30 litres because it doesn't soak away. It absorbs it. The one with the sand there, no mulch, needs about 300 litres. So if you've got a plant that's dehydrating even after you watered it, you haven't given it enough. Just like some of the beds over there. Just like my daughter did earlier, because she hasn't been shown. Stick your finger in, get a moisture meter, check the mulch, grab a handful. You know, that's the only way. You shovel in the ground and do a cross section of your soil. Wet, 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 dry. If the roots are down there where it's dry, not good for the plant. Look at this garden. This garden didn't get a water today. Now this plant here looks like a weed, doesn't it? This is delicious. This is a rocket. I call it lettuce rocket. It's a forever giving plant. Gives forever. So we've harvested probably, how many times? About 6, 8 times at least. We've taken it down to the ground and up it comes again. So if you like rocket, if you like chicory, you like lettuce, it's not pungent, it's not tart, it's not that sort of bitterness. It is just a sweet flavored leafy green, the alternative to lettuce. I haven't got any seed yet of this. Relax. I've populated some seed. I'm going to get them out in there slowly. We may do these as seedlings because once you've got this plant, you'll have it all the time. This is the second round of growth. So this bed here had completed last year. I planted it about 9 months ago. The leafy plant. It went to seed. It germinated. It went to seed, fell to the ground, and this germinated. I didn't harvest any seed from this, but from another bed I did. And now this here. Have a look inside here. It is so crispy. I mean, it just cracks. It's so succulent and juicy. Now, these are, tastes like a weed. It's like eating grass. It is good for you. Even my videographer wants to eat some. Get yourself involved. Look at this. Now, this eggplant, I feel like coming around, but the shadows are going to be brown, strong. This eggplant here, I planted this probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Look at it, it's jumped out. See the other one? See how small it is? It is tiny. It's the one with the soil that we spoke about yesterday where the roots are growing out in the soil and the plant's ungrown. Same time planting. Look at this and look at that. Huge difference. Soil condition. We've got a basil in here as well, and this is Caro, who's been missing me all day. And we've got some pak choys in here. It's taken over. So that's this bed. Now come over this one here. Now this bed here, I haven't top dressed. All I did was come along and just replant some more seedlings. What do we got? We've got, oh no, I'm pulling out rocket. Is it rocket? No, it's, I don't know what it is. When they're that small, you can't tell. That's a weed sticking out there. It looks like rocket. We've got some just wild stuff growing in here as well. So what's going on with this bed? So this is a lowered soil bed that needs to be topped up. This wasn't watered today. We've got beans growing in here, but oh, look at that. That is super soft. That is great. We've got moisture. Now, today was only about 22, 23 degrees, so these beds are really good. So we've got a squash, more rocket, pak choi, spring onions, and the old onions that I'm letting seed. And again, I'm not going to top dress this yet. I'm going to let it go for another year. Well, not another year, another cycle of season, but I'm going to try and let these onions, look at that, here we are. This is what you want. See all these, I just broke that. all these seeds. Look at this. This is one flower head, and I am popping out dozens of seeds there. All those can become a single plant. So if you want to talk about what does it cost to grow a veggie garden, it's a little love and care and a little bit of that. And here we had our broccoli plant. This is our, I think it's 3 years old now. I've harvested this so many times. It's gone through this little flowering cycle, so you get these lot of broccolini heads. You can eat this thing as it is now too. I'm not hungry anymore, folks. I've had a big meal today. So that can be, the entire stalk, the entire plant can be eaten like this. It is super succulent. This is a great way to have your little stir fries if you like. Now, once that finishes and the weather cools down a bit, the next round of flowers are going to be full-size broccoli heads again. So we go through this broccoli head to a broccolini or broccoletti cycle, and then back to a broccoli head. And then after the broccoli head, if it's still healthy, you'll get this happening. So that's what's happened there. We had a little one here. I think I pulled it out. So there was a little one here that I pulled out, but we've got our basil here that you can see. So that's doing well. This is another eggplant. Okay, now this one here, if I remember correctly, it's a bit dark in here. We've got pak choi going on. This is where I did the little insulation wall here. So I put the straw there, and then I just top dressed the compost in the middle and the planting mix. And yeah, it's moist. And then I put mulch over the top. So I'm going to try and pull out a bit of soil in here too. It's nice and soft. It's a bit dry. Can you see in the shadows here? There's worms. There are worms. Oh, look at that. These are the worms. That's what I was looking for. They're everywhere in here. There's one. I'm going to put it back in the soil. But that's the activity that I'm searching for now. Maybe I just dug in the wrong spot there, but active, top dressed. That's what we should be doing with our garden beds. It doesn't happen all the time, meaning being successful, folks. You know, I've got some beds that have actually struggled for a number of reasons. But at the end of the day, the good common practice of what you should be doing in your garden bed is top dressing and feeding on a regular basis. It's like yourself. You don't want to starve. You can fast if you like, but if you starve for a elongated period, you'll start eating your own, muscle in your body, your own protein. That's when you start to deplete of nutrients. And that's what happens with the soil. If you don't feed it enough, plants will put the energy down into there as well, the sugars and all that, but they need all that other carbon, that composting process to happen. It's vital for that cycle to happen because it's the food chain. You start from the smallest of creatures or living organisms, and you work your way up to the composting creatures, up to the plants, up to the birds, and so on and so on. When you break that cycle of feeding chain that we have from the smallest of life, as I said, then that cycle is interrupted. So that natural progression of life from start to end is broken. And when you break it, something's bound to be wrong. Something's bound to go sort of skewed. And what the most common problem that we find at the end is your plants are missing all those nutritional values. They'll grow, but they'll never be as rich and flavoursome and nutritionally valuable to your body as the ones you grow in your garden with the right organic matter. Come in close here. Have a look at this. Now this bed here is not the one I was going to show you, but this is a bed that's sort of gone through its whole cycle. We've got some onions still coming along. We've picked a lot of dwarf beans here. Another little harvest. I mean, we've been harvesting continuously is my point here. Now, the other major part here is this bed is down to below half. 1, 2, and we're down to here. That's the base. So, well, let's say half because we never filled it up to the top. So what we had at the bottom here was a bale of straw underneath, right? It's decomposed. And this, if I'm not mistaken, will be the next phase after compost. Oh my God, this is gold. I'm telling you, this is gold. This feels fantastic. It's like a sponge. It breaks away beautifully. There's your worms in there. One worm means a lot of worms. And this is the stage where your compost becomes something magical. It starts to develop what we know as humus. And humus is nature's sponge. It holds everything. It holds the moisture in, it's home for a lot of living organisms, and it will retain the moisture that your beds need for a longer period. So you're doing much less watering. So that has sunken right down. It hasn't been watered probably for 2 days, even the heat wave yesterday. And look, it's moist. That's because we've built the humus in this. And this decomposed real quick. This is in the last 4 months, 5 months. So I only built this and planted tomatoes in here, not even 5 months. October, November, December, January, 4 months, yeah. It's disappeared, so that is super active. Now what we're looking at here is the trial that we're doing here with the tomatoes, folks. Now we've got 2 big Malaccas, just random selection. One's got someone else's potting mix, and the other one's got our planting mix combined with our cocoa. Now what happened here, now if I think it was in the earlier one, the previous episode or the one before, I was away in Adelaide, came back, impact sprinkler was pounding away. There was one just over here. This got hit too, so this was constantly wet for about 6 hours straight, I reckon. Just spraying on it, spraying on it. It got diseased. I pulled off all the leaves, both plants. So these are the old leaves, they're gone. There was a lot of rust developing at the bottom. Here's a little bit more of it. See that little bit on the end there? That there, if you don't treat that, and I'm not saying treat it, just cut them off. Even just cutting off the leaf, not the entire leaf, helps. Cut the little ones off, get rid of them. My point here is that we started earlier on, and these ones really copped a... I'm not happy with the way they're growing. These aren't growing the way, well, they had a bad hit of weather, watering, so it's not performing exactly what I was anticipating for both plants. But what I can say is that this one here burst out with flower. This has got all the extra synthetic fertilizers. Well, that's what I'm assuming here, because it says organic plus and all that sort of stuff. The flowers that came up first, can you come around nice and close here? This is the first spike of flowers it had. We thought, wow, this is going to be impressive. You can see those. Well, unfortunately, they've all been cooked. All I've done is given it water. No extra fertilizing, no nothing. Both are getting the same amount of water at the same time. So the first flower's gone. It's pushed up a second one. Meanwhile, Y1 is just developing foliage upon foliage. And how many flower spikes have we got? We've got a little one that's not developing well either. So that's not happy. And where's the other ones? Are there any other ones? We've got some flowers here. We've got some flowers up there coming on. So looking at this, I can tell that these plants had a hard run a little bit. 1 second. And it's dry as a bone. Oh, jeez. I'm going to sack my daughter. I can't do that. This is the problem I have. There's only one of me and the irrigation's not enough. An overhead spray is great, but you can't rely on that only because it causes more problems to the plants than not. So the trial's going to continue. The flowers are coming on slowly. They both got a little bit of, looks like leaf curl, but seems to grow out of that. This is something we had a couple of years ago. Didn't happen, or was it last year? But it wasn't starting to show this earlier this year, but now it is. So we're going to sit back and wait and see how these go to do a trial. But we're going to test the nutritional value. We're going to do a bricks test on both plants and all plants, in fact, and we'll see the ones that are performing well. We'll judge it by what we see, and then we'll see what we read in physical terms. So if your garden's struggling with water, the secret to that is to keep watering until you can get it soaking down deep below. It's not a matter of timing yourself, it's a matter of working out what works best for your garden when it comes to watering it. Applying water continuously for 5 minutes in the one spot's not going to do it. It's just going to create channels and flow away. It won't soak through. A good soaking requires you, my personal opinion, is to hydrate a little bit, walk away, go to the next bed, or next to the plant next to it, come back to that section. And I'll give you an example. I was watering our pot little nursery in the corner, which half the plants are dying, and that's just my bad management of that. But as far as watering is concerned, as I was watering, my darling wife says to me, she goes, "You don't water enough." I normally sit there and fill it up really good. I said, yeah, I do that too, but not in the one go, because it fills up, pressure builds up from the amount of water sitting there as a reservoir, and rather than soaking down, because there's so much more body in water, it flushes down the side of the walls and walks out, or flushes out. She's pulling her face there, she's holding the camera. And the plant's dry in the middle, wet on the outside, but not in the middle. So slow soak, let it pull up a little bit in the middle, let it soak down. And as it's soaking, top it up to sort of catch the tail end of that water soaking and disappearing. So you've got a continuous soak through. It's like a little freight train of moisture going in. Does that make sense? Learned something, huh? Hope you learned something too. check out our website. There's lots of information like that on our website, plus our workshops. They're filling actually fast. I wasn't expecting it, but quite impressed and very humbled about it. Thank you, folks. So if you're looking to join our workshops, any of them, there's probably 11 or 12 going over the next 3 months with Craig Castry, renowned writer, horticulturalist, who's got anything and everything that you need to learn, and a whinging dog. That's me, my dog. He'll be with us, joining us. So between him and I, there's no stone going to be left unturned, and we're going to let you in on the industry secrets. Some of the stuff that shouldn't be happening. But anyway, that's at vasilisgarden.com. Book your seats at the workshops, Dandenong and or Lethbridge, and enjoy the day and enjoy some great specials we have for you. From me, Vasily, Maresi, dogs need a walk now.